Is monkeypox in our area? That may be a question that some people are asking. Well, to get the answer, we go to one of our good friends at Lehigh Valley Hospital in Hazleton. Dr. Jody Lengo is the Vice Chair of the Department of Medicine for Lehigh Valley Hospital, Hazleton. Dr. Lengo, thank you so much for being here with us once again. What is monkeypox, first of all, and is it in our area?
So what is it? It's a virus, very similar to the smallpox virus. Majority of us don't know smallpox because it's been eradicated, which is great. But the virus is very similar in how it appears and the symptoms. But the good news is it's not nearly as deadly as smallpox. So it does cause some symptoms and a rash that is similar to smallpox. And we can go into that a little bit in more detail. But the other question you had about, is it in our area? To date, Lehigh Valley Hazleton has not had any confirmed cases, but there have been confirmed cases in the surrounding areas. Allentown has had some confirmed cases as well. So it is probably going to make its way here because, as we've found with the COVID virus, viruses spread.
So what does monkeypox exactly look like?
It looks like the rash for monkeypox are almost like firm nodules. They can be all over the body, but in this particular case with monkeypox recently, they tend to be more isolated in a region. They can have a little area of almost like a dimple. We call it an umbilication, where it looks like a little dent in the top of the nodule. Sometimes there's one, sometimes there's many, so it can be a little confusing. And initially, sometimes those little nodules or the rash can kind of hurt, and then later on, it becomes a little bit more itchy. Then the lesions kind of scab over, and then new skin heals underneath it. So the important piece for that is that all those lesions are the way that it's contagious and spread. Once that skin heals from underneath it and that scab falls off, it's no longer contagious. So that is how it's spread from person to person through contact with those nodules and with that rash. The virus can be in your body for up to a week or two before you start to get that rash. But the good news there, unlike COVID, this monkeypox is not contagious during that pre-rash period, which is good.
I mean, how did it come about to begin with? I guess it was being transmitted sexually. Is that what I heard?
So yeah, the predominant population that unfortunately seems to be affected right now are gay men, bisexual men, and men having sex with men. Although there have been cases of children and other members of the population as well. So we do think that there is some spread in other ways. They're really trying to look into all these details and figure out exactly how it's spread. It is usually through close contact. Sometimes there are some upper respiratory symptoms that develop as well. So there's a thought that it might be spreading that way, but it's not like COVID where it's all over the air. It is really with a very close contact, usually a loved one or a family member or household member that has the rash and the lesions.
I could get it that way by touching it?
Yes, correct. Yeah, so that's the contagious part is the rash and the sores until that scab comes off and the skin heals. So that's where people really need to be careful. And it can take a couple weeks for that to happen. So isolation in this situation is really important.
It's not fatal. It's mainly mild, correct?
Mainly mild. It can be fatal, but very rarely. So there are some signs, there are some cases of very severe disease that it results in hospitalization and severe meningitis or sepsis or bad infection, but it's pretty rare. And those are usually in the higher risk patients, people with immunocompromised conditions. HIV patients are a little bit more high at risk. Pregnant and breastfeeding patients can be a little bit more risky, and there's another group of interesting patients with eczema and it's called atopic dermatitis that seem to be a little bit higher risk of developing severe disease. But again, this is very rare that happens, and we do have treatments for it too. We have some antiviral treatments that are available to help treat it if it gets to that severe case. The majority of cases do not need to be treated; they resolve on their own.
A vaccine is available, but really not available.
Right now, it is available in a small amount. It is the smallpox vaccine or related to the smallpox vaccine. It works well against monkeypox to immunize people against monkeypox as well. right now is there for a very small select group of people, the majority of which are working in the lab, kind of running these samples. So if you're a laboratory worker, that would be somebody to think about. But outside of that, it is not readily available yet for everyone in the public.